Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long summer, haven't had a chance to record, but we're back. And we're here in Farmville, North Carolina. And I've taken out a $500,000 mortgage, got 15 years of payments to make, and they're $3,600 a month. So we definitely have to be careful with what kind of money we're spending and how we spend it so that we don't get this place foreclosed. Now I've spent almost $300,000 already buying this property. And as you can tell, it's not definitely not great. The house will definitely need to be upgraded at some point. It's livable for now, but boy, it's rough. And as far as equipment goes, all we own is this pickup. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us and no equipment to do it. That's not good. Now, this did come with a pretty good farmyard here. All the buildings are small and old, but they're at least standing and they will work for storage and keeping our equipment at least somewhat sheltered here. So as you can tell, all the buildings are empty. And if we run... Here, I'll go back to the pickup actually. Make this a little faster. Jump the old Ford here. And we'll drive back here, and you guys can see our cornfield. So we have two fields, one is corn and one is grass. So as you can see, our corn's looking pretty good. We've got a 97% yield bonus, so this is going to be fantastic for our first harvest. However, there is a problem. We don't have any grain bins. So we're going to have to sell this corn right away. We're not going to be able to store it and sell it at the high price. But that's okay. And if we go back around here, you can see we have an old cow barn back here. Now, it's not great. It's definitely a little run down, but it will work for us starting out at least. And it's got a nice big pasture to it, so we'll be able to have plenty of cattle back here. That's a very, very good thing. Definitely want to get into some cattle and expand our operation. Not really sure where we're going to go with it. We're just going to kind of wing it, honestly, and see how things end up. But we'll head out to our other field here. And it's a grass field, and it is ready to be mowed and turned into hay. So that's a good thing. Bad thing is we don't have any equipment to mow it, rake it, ted it, or bale it. But as you can see, our grass field looks absolutely fantastic. So we'll get a lot of hay bales off this. The problem is we don't have any equipment. So I'm going to head to an auction that's supposed to start at 10 o'clock this morning and see what equipment I can come up with. Hopefully we can get everything that we need. Not going to hold my breath on it, but we should be able to at least pick up a few pieces of equipment. All right, well, we're back from the auction. We got a whole lot of equipment, to be honest. We did really, really good at that auction. There were not a whole lot of people there. I was surprised. So we got some really good equipment for pretty cheap. A couple of these are brand new. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the rake at the auction. I got outbid on it. So on the way home, we stopped at the dealer and picked up this brand new K-brand SR314 rake and the K-brand GF 8712 tedder. So those two pieces are brand new. But we need them, have to have them, otherwise we can't make hay. So the first thing we bought at the auction was this Case Farmall 1066, and we also picked up this New Holland Disc Bind 313. Used that for mowing our grass. And we also got this Gale 1310 round baler. Got that thing absolutely dirt cheap. Very, very happy with that. We also picked up this old grain truck here, which we absolutely need so that we can get our grain hauled to the elevator here this fall. And it's in really good shape. I'm very impressed with how well they took care of their equipment. So we also picked up, they had a John Deere 9510 with an 843 corn head and a 930 bean head. So we're not going to be using that bean head this year, but hopefully, if all goes well, we'll make enough money we can expand and have a couple more fields for next year. So we will put that bean head to use next year. The problem I'm going to have is storage. I don't have anywhere to put that bean head where it's going to be sheltered. So unfortunately, it's going to have to sit out in the elements. But that is all the equipment that we ended up with. So we spent $145,000 in total, which brings us down to $62,000. And we have rain coming, so I'm going to jump on this international and get to mowing hay here, or mowing grass, so that we can get it tedded and turned into hay, and hopefully we can get this done before it rains. Now, I don't have any way to pick up these bales yet. Unfortunately, this tractor did not come with a front loader, so that's going to be an issue. And I don't have a trailer to use either. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do there. But we'll get this thing fired up. And we'll get to mowing some hay here. So this shouldn't take too long. We're moving at a pretty good clip here. So we'll get all this grass mowed, and I'll catch up to you guys when we get her done. All right, we're finishing up our last little dab here, getting this grass mowed, and we'll be ready to ted. So while I've been mowing the grass, I've been surfing the Facebook Marketplace on the phone and came across somebody who has an old John Deere 4240 with a front loader and a bale trailer for sale. So we're going to go check that out after we get this field all baled up, because we need some way to pick up these bales. Now, since we're going to be selling off our corn right away, since we have no storage, I will be holding on to these bales until their peak price, which should be sometime in December, January, somewhere in that area this winter. And we'll sell the bales off then. But we'll hold on to them as long as we can, get as much money for them as we possibly can, because we're definitely not going to be getting optimal price out of our corn. See if we can get this backed into the shed here. Now, I do have to say, this thing ran through the field pretty darn well. It didn't take much to run, and it was pretty smooth, pretty happy. So we'll get backed up to the tedder here, get this thing hooked up, and get to tedding. And we are trying to beat the rain. I don't know if we're going to do it. This rain is supposed to be hitting here in the next, between 15 minutes and an hour. So this could be a lost cause. Could end up having to do this multiple times. I'm not sure. But we're going to go ahead and try and beat the rain, see if we can get this field done before it rains. If not, well, we'll just have to do it all over again. But we should be able to fly through this field pretty well with this tedder here. It's not the biggest tedder in the world, but it is about the right size for this tractor, so we'll get this tedding taken care of. As you can see, that field looks pretty cool. I like the way it looks with that disc vine. I think it makes the mowed grass look, I like the way it looks. So, and something else we need to keep our eye on is a planter. So we don't have a planter at all, so we have no way to put crop in the ground next spring. So that is going to be our number one priority after we get our grain and hay bales sold, is finding a planter. Well, as you can tell, we only have a few passes left for tedding, but it has started to rain. So we're going to go get this tractor put in the shed, wait for this rain to quit, and we'll get started up again. So while it's raining, that gives us time to go take a look at that 4240 and the bale trailer and make sure that they are worth actually buying. And if they are, we'll go ahead and get them picked up and get them brought back to the farm here. Well, it is almost 5:30 and it's still pouring rain. There's no way that grass is going to dry out in time for us to get it baled today. But I did end up pulling the trigger on the 4240 and the bale trailer here. So as you can tell, it's not real big, but it's going to work. We got the bale trailer for $2,500. I couldn't pass that up. Now, I did definitely overspend a bit on the 4240 here. Spent about $47,000 on it, but it was worth it. We needed it. We needed the front loader tractor. Unfortunately, the bucket that came with it was just complete trash. So I didn't, I told him to keep that. I wasn't buying it. It just wasn't worth anything. So all we have is the bale spear. So I'll eventually need to find a bucket for it. Hopefully we don't have too bad of a winter, because I don't know if I'll be able to get a bucket for it before winter or not. But we're going to go ahead and call this a day, and I'll see you guys in October when hopefully the sun is shining. Well, welcome into October. As you can see, it's about 10:30 in the morning, and we're finally getting back out here in the field, getting this tedding done, and our corn is not ready yet. It will be November. So all we have to do this month is finish tedding, windrowing, baling, and get this field fertilized again. And it'll be good to go. We barely have enough to cover our mortgage this month, so I may have to sell off one of those bale trailer loads of hay just to make sure that we don't miss a payment, because that would be horrible if we missed a payment. So might have to go ahead and do that. It's not going to be, we're a couple months away from the peak price, so I really don't want to do that, but I might not have a choice. That weather definitely hurt us a bit, unfortunately, but that's farming, so you got to just take the punches and go with them. All right, our tedding is complete, so we'll get this unhooked, go grab our windrower, and get this field windrowed. Shouldn't take too long. It's not a huge windrower, but it is decent sized. I think it's 8 meters or something like that. So yeah, at 8 meters, shouldn't take very long, and we'll be able to get to baling. I'm honestly pretty excited to get that old Gale baler out and see how it does. I'm not entirely sure if it'll be a good baler, or if they saw a sucker coming and sold us a worthless, always broke down machine. But we'll find out. All right, well, we got all the windrowing done. We got the Gale baler here hooked up to our tractor, and we're going to go ahead and bale this up. I have no idea how many bales to expect off this field. I'm hoping for a lot, but I honestly have no idea. And all right, so this thing unloads in slow motion. That's not great, but that's what we get for buying a used baler that is well beyond its prime years. So this is definitely going to take a minute. Thank goodness we have all month to get it taken care of. But it is filling up fast, and we're doing 150 centimeter bales. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get 40 bales off this. That would be absolutely fantastic. That would be 5 trailer loads of 8 bales, and I'd definitely take that for our first cutting. So we'll go ahead and knock this out and catch up to you guys when we get her finished. All right, well, we got all of our baling done here, and I've got 47 bales. It honestly worked out better than I thought it would. I got more bales than I was really hoping for. I was hoping for 40, but didn't actually think I'd get there. So, we'll get this trailer loaded up here, and if you guys can't tell, I don't do this very often. But trying to go a little more realistic in this series, so we're going to try and load every bale with the front loader, and we're going to see how this goes. This could be great, or this could be absolutely terrible. I honestly don't know which, but I'll go ahead and get all of these loaded up. So it should be 6 trailer loads, and we'll see since it's 47, we'll see if I can't sneak an extra one on one of these loads. But this is, oof. Yeah, I definitely need some more practice with the front loader. That is for sure. So, I'm going to go ahead and get these loaded, and we're going to have to sell one of them off. And I also went ahead and sold that baler. It doesn't have net wrap. And trying to do a more realistic series here, not having net wrap was not a good idea. Didn't fit in with the series, so sold it. We'll figure out a different baler situation for next year. We'll just have to add that, to the list of equipment that we need to get. And so the big goal here is to make enough money. Boy, this is terrible. But to make enough money to buy a planter for next spring, and obviously we have to pay for seed and fertilizer and all of our other input costs yet. So we need to make a lot of money. We'll have a lot of money going out in expenses, but yeah, this should be an interesting challenge, especially for my first series back. I really haven't played a whole lot this summer, so little rusty, but I'm pretty excited. I think this series definitely has a lot of potential, as long as I don't mess it up. That's going to be the hard part. Making sure I don't screw this up. Alright, we got our first trailer load here. That didn't go too bad. And I went ahead and grabbed another bale for the front of the tractor. Since we have 47 bales, we had that one extra, so I'm going to find a spot to stack all these bales. And then we'll go run back and get our second trailer load. And once we get all this done, then we will go ahead and fertilize this year. I'll have to run into the co-op and rent the fertilizer spreader. But I do believe somewhere back over here, I've got all this open grass here. I think right back here, right along the creek, probably be a pretty good spot to go ahead and unload all these bales and get them stacked. And we'll see how well I can stack bales. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever actually tried. So this could be great, or this could be an absolute disaster. Dealer's choice. But I did figure out earlier that putting the bales on the trailer anyway went a lot better running in the cab as opposed to doing it from outside of the cab. So this is how we will operate the tractor while we are stacking our bales. All right, well, as you can see, we got our first 9 bales all stacked up nice and neat. Didn't go too bad. Definitely need a lot of practice. I'm not very good at bale stacking at all. And I definitely should have mowed this grass because it's half a bale tall. And when I unhooked from this trailer, once it was empty, I had a heck of a time trying to find where it was again. It kind of disappeared off in the grass, so note to self, mow the grass before you stack bales. But we'll head back to the field, get our next trailer load, and continue loading and unloading and stacking. Alright, we got the last of the bales picked up off the field here. We got a nice stack back at the home place, and we're going to go ahead and take these and get them sold off. That way we can make sure that we don't run out of money this month. We should be good with $7,000, but after interest and property maintenance, we're actually closer to, it's like $5,500, $6,000 is what our overall like monthly expenses are. So we have to be careful with how much we're spending and how much we have in the bank. Alright, and we're up to 13,000. Brought the bales up here to the farmer's market. Pretty happy with that sale. So that is definitely enough to get us through the rest of the year, That is definitely enough to get us through the rest of this month. So I'll head home, drop off this bale trailer, and then we need to head to the co-op and get the fertilizer cart and some fertilizer. So that's going to drop us a few grand. So should put us just enough to make sure that we eke by for this month. Alright, we're here at the co-op. Just got the fertilizer cart rented and loaded with 1,000 liters of fertilizer. I'm really hoping that's enough to cover our field. If not, we'll have to come back and get more, but it was almost $2,000 for fertilizer, and then rental for the day was $500. So as long as we get it returned today yet, before 5 o'clock, it's only $500. If we don't get it back before 5 o'clock, it will go up to $1,000, and we'll be forced to pay a second day's rental. So we need to make sure we get this field done, and done quick. Alright, well, we made it back to the farm here, so we'll go ahead and get this field fertilized quick and get this cart returned before our 5 o'clock deadline here. Alright, we got our fertilizing done. You can see our grass is growing, 97% yield bonus. So that is absolutely perfect. We'll go ahead and get the rest of this fertilizer unloaded before we take the cart back. And that way we can use it in our cornfield. It's November. It's almost 10:30 in the morning. The dew is burned off, and we are ready to start harvesting our corn. So we'll go ahead, jump in the 9510, get it fired up, and we'll head over here to our cornfield. One nice thing about this is it's nice and close. Don't have to travel too far with any of our machinery for our fields so far. So that is very, very nice. So we'll get this combine unfolded. We'll get it fired up, drop it down, and we'll get our GPS set up here. It's calling for 3 headlands. And I do have the extended straw swath or straw crop mod on, so we will have straw to bale off this field. I like using this mod because it is a little bit more realistic as far as being able to bale up the corn stalks. I know it's not corn stalks and straw, it's straw instead, but you know, it is what it is. This gets it at least a little more realistic. So we'll go ahead and get this field opened up here, and I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping we have a real big yield and have a lot of corn to sell, because we're down to 5,600 bucks here and we need money, and a lot of it. We're going, like I said, we're going through about $5,000, $6,000 a month here in expenses, so we need a good yield here to get plenty of cash to make sure that we can pay our bills and don't end up losing the farm in our first year. We've already got the combine completely full once, and we're not done with our headlands. That's a good sign. So I ran back to the home place, grabbed the grain truck here, and we'll get this thing loaded and kind of parked out of the way. It'll take about 2.5 or so combine dumps to fill this grain truck, and once it's full, we'll run it to the elevator and see how much we can get. Alright, we have our first truckload of corn. I went ahead and hired up a worker so they can keep combining while I take this to the mill, and hopefully we're back in time to get them emptied out before they get full. But right now the mill is paying the best price, so that's where we're gonna head. It's a bit of a drive, but that's all right. I think we should have plenty of time. The best price was actually here at Farmville Grain, so this is where we're dumping the corn, and we need to get a lot of money because I completely forgot we sold off the baler, so we need to also purchase a new baler, otherwise we can't get that straw baled up. So yeah, that was a big whoops. Well, we got just shy of $19,000, so that'll definitely cover buying a new baler and a couple months worth of mortgage. And it looks like our worker's 80% full, so we need to get back to the fields as soon as we can and make sure that they keep rolling. And we did not make it back in time, so I'm gonna have to jump in the combine, fire the worker. That way we can get this thing unloaded. Since I had to go ahead and fire the worker, I'm just going to go ahead and run the next combine load. It'll take another combine load and a half to get this semi full, or to get this grain truck full, so I just will run it. No reason to be spending money on a worker when I don't actually need to. So I'll go ahead, finish out these, or go ahead and finish out loading, combining this field, and I'll see how much we end up with. Alright, the combine is full, the truck is full, and we still have corn in the field. So that's a good thing. I'm guessing we have another combine load to come out of the field yet, so that's really good. We're going to make plenty of money off of this corn harvest. Now the bad part is we're leaving a lot of money on the table not being able to store this and sell at its peak price. So that is definitely going to be something high up on our list, but the first thing we got to do is get our hands on a planter. Otherwise we're not going to have a crop to harvest next year. But we're going to take this into the Farmville Grain again, get it emptied out, collect our money, and get back to combining. Alright, we made exactly $19,000 on that load. So the price went up a little bit. We'll head back to the farm, finish combining, and bring the last little bit of corn in. And that'll be it for harvest for year one. Now we still have all of our bales to sell. We'll have a bunch of straw bales to get sold, and we need to get our baler bought. So there's still more than enough work to get done here and more than enough money to be spent here at some point. All right, our corn harvest is officially done. We've got a little over 15,000 liters of corn to sell here. We're going to take this to the Farmville grain, get it sold off, and then we need to pick up a baler so we can get all the straw baled up. Now, it's going to be tight, but I think after we get all the bales sold, we should be sitting okay, even though we do have to buy a baler and we still have to somehow find a planter. So the money's going to be tight, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll for sure get through the winter, but we may end up having to sell bales sometime midsummer just to make sure that we don't run out of funds. But I think so far we've gotten a pretty good start to our farm here on Farmville, North Carolina. So we'll get this to the mill, see how much money we get for 15,000 liters and how much we end up having to spend on a baler. All right, we got another $11,600. That is absolutely fantastic. So that puts us up to 55,000. Feeling pretty good about where we're at. Now we need to go ahead and get a baler picked up, and we'll also need to figure out some tillage, fertilizing, and what other inputs we need to do for that cornfield. Well, after I left the Farmville grain, ran over to the equipment dealer and talked to them about a baler, and told him I was also going to be looking for a planter coming up here this spring. So he's got his eyes out for a used planter for me, but we were able to pick up this New Holland 648 baler, and it actually hooked up to the back of the grain truck. I couldn't believe it. So I was able to pull it home with that instead of having to use a tractor. Now this cost $6,000, and then I had to spend another $2,000 on fuel because the combine went through 3/4 of a tank, and believe it or not, this 1066 has also gone through a ridiculous amount of fuel. So I don't think this has that big of a tank on it, so that's part of the issue. The combine, on the other hand, has a very big tank, and it burned through a ridiculous amount of fuel. But we're going to head over to our cornfield, get all of the straw baled up in there, and hopefully we get a lot of bales off this. I'm not sure how many we'll get. I honestly have no idea. Not even going to attempt to guess. But we'll just go ahead and get what we can and be pleasantly surprised when we get done. We'll fire it up, drop it down, and get to baling here. All right, finishing up our last two little passes here, and we'll be done baling our straw. So we ended up at 26 bales. We're only gonna have a few hundred liters left over here, so no big deal there. But I was in such a hurry and so excited to get this new baler going, I forgot to put fuel in the 1066. We got very lucky and had just enough to get this field done. So we're going to head back to the home place, get this thing fueled up, get the baler put away, and then we'll get the bale trailer and the John Deere out and get all these straw bales picked up. Now, something I did notice and hadn't really paid enough attention to was that field's only 8 acres, but we own 21 acres around it. So that means we have a whole bunch of land that's not being used. So I think project for this winter will be to remove a bunch of trees and extend that field out. If we can at least double it to 16 acres, that would be absolutely phenomenal. So that's going to be on our list for this winter, and that will also help produce some extra income for us as well by cutting down and selling the wood. So That's a project I really hadn't planned on doing, but it's something we're for sure going to have to do. But for now, we need to worry about our bales and getting those picked up off the field, so we'll grab the John Deere here, grab the bale trailer, and go start picking up bales. So we've got 26 of them to pick up. So it'll be 3 trailer loads and a couple on the front. All right, we got all of our stock bales picked up and off the field. I went ahead and left 8 of them on the trailer. That way they're already preloaded. Pretty happy with how everything's going. But now that I've thought about extending that field, I don't think I'm going to put any fertilizer down this month. And I think I'll wait till spring and see how wide I get this and see how many acres we end up adding to the field. So with that being said, that's probably going to be about it for this month. So I'll see you guys in December or January, whichever month has the higher price for all of our bales. All right, it's January and it's time to sell all of our bales. As you can tell, we're down to $36,000. So our money is going fast. But thankfully, this bale trailer does hook up to the pickup. So we'll be able to use the pickup to transport the bales. And this will go much faster than having to use a tractor that only does 20 mile an hour. So we're going to head up to the bale sale here. They have the best price for our straw bales. And we'll get all of our straw bales sold off, and then we'll switch over to our hay bales and start getting those all sold off. Alright, well, I ended up deciding to come up here to the farmer's market instead. So this is where we'll sell off all of our bales here. Alright, we're up to 42,000. Not bad for our first load. Alright, well, it is now 10 a.m. We've got all of our bales sold, so we have no more products to sell for this year. And we're sitting right at $80,000, so that's enough to get us through and cover mortgage and everything, but not enough to buy a planter. So for the rest of this winter here, I'm going to be clearing out trees, selling off as much wood as I can, and trying to make whatever profit I can to make sure we can buy a planter and also extend our field. So I'll catch up to you guys in the spring. Welcome into March, everyone. We got a bunch of trees removed this winter. We have a whole bunch of ground that needs to be tilled up and turned into crop ground. Pretty happy with how much we did get done. We did not get all of the trees removed in that section. We have quite a few to go, actually. We only got about half of it done. But it was rough, to say the least. Logging is not my thing. I'm not good at it. I don't like doing it. But in this case, it was necessary, and we made $100,000. I was very, very happy with that. So we've got some tilling we need to do, fertilizing we need to do, and I need to run into the dealer because our salesman called and said he has a tractor and a planter for me to take a look at. So we've got quite a bit to do this month, but the first thing we're going to do is run over to the John Deere, get it hooked up to our brand new to us John Deere 220 disc, and get to tilling. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get to it. All right, so we're going to get this thing unfolded. And as you can see, I got a lot of area uncovered out here. So we've got a bunch of disking we need to do. So we'll get the outline done and then clean up everything in the middle, and should be good to go. It's actually kind of nice having all those trees gone, because this section of the river was completely hidden. I honestly didn't really know it was there to begin with. I figured that out when I looked at the map and saw how much we owned and realized I owned all the way up to the river. But before that, I didn't even know it was there. So having all those trees cleared out, all of a sudden we get a whole new background scenery to look at that I didn't even know existed. And I love fields that are not just squares or rectangles. I love fields that have winding end rows and hills. And honestly, I really don't like flat maps. This map, I was kind of honestly debating on whether or not I wanted to play it because it looked like it was a flat map, but there's a lot of small undulations through this map that I didn't realize were there. Even over in our grass field, I didn't notice how much that actually changed and had like rolling hills through it until I was running the front loader and picking up bales. And that's where it really became apparent just how much that field does oscillate. And it's things like that that really make the difference between an okay map and a great map. Alright, finishing up our last pass here. Getting this field extended out. This thing's done a fantastic job. The tractor's pulled it right along, no problems. I'm very, very happy with how this is going. Now you can see little spots, and you'll see it when I pick up here, where if the tines on the back don't go over it, it leaves it in a plowed state instead of a cultivated state, which is interesting. As we drive along here, you're going to see a whole bunch of sticks laying out in the field. Not sure what's going on there, but I cannot pick them up. I can't disc them under, and I can't pick them up. So I don't know what's going on, but they're out here. Kind of a pain in the butt, but what do you do? Now, if we jump out, it's still showing that we only have 8.8 acres. I'm not sure if that may, maybe that doesn't change when you extend a field, but I'm definitely going to say we got to be closer to 14, 15 acres now in this field would be my guess. So if we pull up the steering assist here, you can see just how much we've actually extended that compared to where it used to be, where it was just kind of this small little rectangle here. Now that we're done extending the field, we'll go ahead and get this disc put away and run into town. We need to pick up a fertilizer cart so we can spread some dry fertilizer, and we also need to take a look at that tractor and planter and see if that's something we're going to purchase as well. Alright, well, we are going to have to take the John Deere into town here to pick up that fertilizer cart because the pickup won't hook up to it. It would be really nice if Giants would make it, possible for the pickup to switch out hitches so we can hook up to everything. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that we can't. But that means we got to take the John Deere into town. Maybe one of our next purchases after our planter could be the fertilizer cart. That way we can at least, not drive to town every time we need to rent the cart. Maybe we can just buy one ourselves. Alright, we are here at the dealership. As you can tell, we are all the way down to 27,000. So that means I went ahead and pulled the trigger on the tractor and planter. And I tell you what, I think I got one heck of a deal. So we spent $135,000 for both the tractor and the planter. And then it was another $2,500 for the fertilizer cart and fertilizer. So I know we still have that 500 liters back at the home place, but I don't know if that was going to be quite enough. So I went ahead and bought another pallet of fertilizer just to be sure. I don't want to run short and have to trek all the way back to town to buy it again, to buy one if we did run out. So I just went ahead and bought it and loaded it up while we were there. And over here is our new planting tractor and planter. We've got the Case 7240, and it does have a front loader hitch or front loader attachment to it. Now, it does not have the front loader on it. We would have to buy that separate. I decided not to for now. Really don't need it, especially while we got the John Deere. And then we got the Kinsey 3600 16-row planter set on 30-inch spacings. And I can't believe we got this set up for $135,000. Now, the tractor is very high hours, so it's something that's probably going to be a maintenance nightmare here in another year or two, but for now, it's honestly it's a steal. So I'll take it. So after we get the fertilizer spread and get the cart returned, we'll go ahead and bring this tractor and planter back to the home place and get it set up and ready to plant next month. But first, we need to get this fertilizer taken care of. So now that we have all of these tractors on the farm, we honestly kind of have too many. So I might just go ahead and get rid of that. Well, I don't know. I can't decide if I should get rid of the John Deere since we're kind of becoming a case farm, and maybe just try and go with all red equipment, or what the future holds. That's something we're going to have to think on. That'll be for future episodes anyway, so if you guys, why don't you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. Should we get rid of the John Deere and buy a loader for the big case, or do we get rid of the 1066 and go with just two bigger tractors? Alright, we're back here at the home place, getting ready to pull into the cornfield, and we will go ahead and get this thing fired up and get to spreading some dry fertilizer here. Now, this cart does have kind of a ridiculous spread width to it. It's 24 meters, so we will run through this field really fast. The only thing is, with us extending out our farmable acres here, I don't know how much extra fertilizer we would need, so that's why I went ahead and bought the tote, and we still have that 500-liter tote in the shed, just in case we need it. But we should have more than enough fertilizer, I would think, but you just never know. Alright, well, we're just about done. I got one little spot I got to hit with the fertilizer, and we're done. And like I said, I think last episode, I'm a little rusty, haven't played for a while. I completely forgot that what we tilled up will need to be limed. So we're going to have to run to town and get some lime. And I'm really glad we went ahead and bought that fertilizer pallet, because we definitely would have run short. We're down below 300 liters left. So it's just a shade over 700 liters to get this field fertilized. And I'll go ahead and grab probably 2 pallets of lime. And hopefully that will cover what we need to get limed for the section that we tilled up this year to add onto the field. So yeah, we've got a little bit more work ahead of us, but that's fine. We're in no hurry. It's March, and there's not a whole lot of field work we can do. We're just getting back from the co-op here. Picked up 2 pallets of lime. Gotta be honest, 2 pallets of lime is a bit much for this pickup. She's got a lot of body roll to it, as you can see. So, kind of sketchy, but we made it. And I'm really hoping, since we don't have a set of pallet forks, that we can just load directly off of the pickup. Oh, there we go. So it will load directly out of the back of the pickup. That is absolutely fantastic. So we still have seed that we need to buy yet this year, so I'm hoping this is enough lime. Because now all of a sudden, we're down to $26,000. Haven't bought any seed yet. Money's going to get very tight very fast. But one nice thing about this is the field is really easy to tell where we did and didn't disc up, so covering everything in lime will be pretty simple here. Well, we got our lime spread, got the fertilizer cart returned, and we had 57 liters of lime left over. So we got very lucky. But we got all the lime down, so we should get, great yield all the way across the field. And we need to run back to town and pick up our other tractor and planter. All right, well, we're back here at the dealership, ready to pick up our tractor and planter. So we'll go ahead and get this thing drug home. And I do got to say, this is one good looking setup here. Yeah, I absolutely love this. So we'll get the hazards on and the beacons on, and we'll head her down the road. Now, is this an absolutely ridiculous setup for the small little field that we have? Absolutely it is. But for the deal we got on it, with the tractor being as high hours as it is, you know, it was hard to pass up. Now, the tractor's like, I think 260 horsepower. So it's not a beast by any means, but it's definitely by far our highest horsepower tractor. And it's a good step into growing this operation. And same with the planter. It's way ridiculous big for what we need right now. However, it's going to be able to grow with us, and we're going to be able to use this planter moving forward for a long time. So that's something we don't have to worry about upgrading for quite a few years. So that is super beneficial here. But we'll get this thing drug home. We'll get it unfolded, get a good look at it. And we also need to get it prepped and ready for next month, because next month we will be planting our soybeans. All right, we're back here at the home place, so we'll go ahead, get this planter unfolded here. That way we can go over it, make sure that they didn't miss anything at the co-op. Now, it should be all ready to go, greased up, everything checked over. It should be in working condition. But we just want to double check, make sure that everything is as it should be. Now that is a beautiful, beautiful setup. Oh, I absolutely love it. So we'll go through and make sure all of our sealers are adjusted correctly. Don't want to have the springs set too tight or too loose. Otherwise, you won't get proper coverage over the seed, and then you won't get proper emergence. Everything looks good. All of our boxes look like they're in good shape. And it looks like most of these fertilizer tanks on the front are either brand new or just barely used. So that's fantastic. I think this planter is for sure ready to go. So, and that is one good looking tractor. They got it all shined up and buffed up at the dealership for me. So we'll see. I may end up needing a weight on the front. We'll see how this thing pulls. If we're spinning too much, we'll have to go ahead and get a weight, get that front end pulled down a little bit, make sure it's digging. But otherwise, yeah, I think we're good to go. This thing looks absolutely fantastic. And I cannot wait to get it used next month. Well, I think that is everything we're going to get done in the month of March. So I will see you guys in April when it is time to plant, and also time for our first cutting of hay. Welcome into April, everyone. I'm just getting back from the co-op. We went and picked up 2 pro boxes of soybean seeds, and we are ready to start planting. I've already got the planter and the tractor out in the field ready to go. So we'll go ahead and get these over there, get that thing loaded up, and we'll be good to go. So with these pro boxes, you can attach to them using any front loader. You don't need to have a set of pallet forks. So we're going to try this. I haven't actually tried this yet, so I'm hoping it works. Watched a video on it, showed that it worked, so let's try it out. All right. So that worked. We'll get this over to the field, get that planter filled. I think it'll take 2. I'm not honestly sure. I didn't, I probably should have checked to see how many liters of seed this thing holds. But no big deal. If it's too much, we can take it back. Well, there we go. We're loading with seed. Now, I did make the mistake of forgetting that I had the fertilize once mod installed. So we're not going to be putting down any fertilizer. We're fully fertilized for the year. That was my mistake. I'll make sure to have that shut off from here on out. But yeah, that's going to save us a pass, and it's going to save us some money. So in the long run, not the worst thing in the world. And our planter is full. So I'm going to just kind of park this over here in the shade for now, because there should be enough seed to plant this field, I think, but I'm not honestly sure. So we'll get this thing fired up. We'll get our GPS all set up and rolling here. And we should be good to go. So we're planting soybeans. I'm not sure how this is going to go, since we don't have storage. It would help if I turned the planter on, huh? So let's back up, try this again. Alright, fire it up. There we go. So I'm not sure how this is going to go with the soybeans, because we don't have storage. And I honestly didn't even think about that till now. So this could be really bad. We might lose a whole bunch of money, because I think soybeans are at their absolute worst price in October, when we'll be harvesting. So with that in mind, I think we're going to have to try and sell as many hay bales as we can to A, make sure we can pay our mortgage, because you can see we're already down to $18,000, and B, maybe try and put up a small bin. That way we can store our soybeans and get a better price for them, because I gotta be honest, I think we're gonna lose. I think we're gonna lose money. I don't think we'll profit if we don't find a way to store our soybeans, because their price is just atrocious in October. So I'll have to do some thinking on that, but for now, our number one priority is getting this field planted, and then we'll get the 1066 out and the mower, and we can start mowing grass and getting it ready to be tedded and turned into hay. And we should have quite a few bales this year, and we'll get at least 3 cuttings, maybe a 4th, I doubt it, but for sure 3. So that'll be a lot of bales for us to sell this winter, so that's great. But at the same time, I don't know how many we'll actually have to sell this winter at the high, because we're definitely going to have to sell some throughout the summer. So that's going to be an issue. Alright, and we're done planting soybeans, so we're done planting our crop for this year. We'll go ahead and get this drug back here into the home place and get it put away. And then we need to go ahead and start mowing some grass. I'm going to go ahead and sell our leftover seed, take that back to the co-op, sell it back to them. That'll help make us a bit of a profit. I don't think it'll be, life-changing by any means, but no reason to hold on to it for this year. Alright, so this Pro Box has 400 liters of seed left in it. The other one is completely full yet. And we'll go ahead and get these taken back to the co-op and get a little bit of cash back in our pocket here. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get a worker hired up on the 1066 and the mower. That way they can go ahead and get some mowing done while I'm gone. Alright, well, we got all of our grass mowed, tedded, and raked. I didn't get anything recorded because my neighbor decided to mow their yard. And that's about all that was coming through my mic. So we'll get this baling done. I went ahead and mowed this grass over here, partially because I want more bales and also because stacking bales over here sucked in the tall grass. So this should help out quite a bit. But we'll get this section we'll get this section baled, and then we can head over to the big field and get that all baled up as well. All right, we have this section all baled up, and we almost got 4 bales off of it. That's pretty incredible. I expected 2 at most. So we'll head over to the big field and start getting it baled up. And I think we got 47 on it last year, so I would expect somewhere around 47 over here again. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, yeah, we got our seed taken back, returned, got our money back for the seed, and we're back up to 21,000. So that definitely helped. We have enough to get through, what, 4 or 5 months, I think. So not enough to get through the year. We'll definitely have to sell a trailer load or 2 of bales to get us through till the big bale sale in December, January. But for now, we're sitting honestly pretty decent. All right, we got all of our baling done. We ended up with 47 bales off this field again. So we'll get this thing drug back home. I will need to pick up some round bale net. We barely had enough to get done, but we got her done, so I'm happy with that. And now we'll go ahead and get the John Deere and the bale trailer and get all these bales picked up and stacked. So we got to spend a little bit of money here on fertilizer and round bale net. Not a big deal by any means. And that's definitely not going to fit in that shed. So we'll put it over here in the big shed again. And yeah, we'll be down a couple grand here after fertilizer costs and whatnot, but we should have enough fertilizer to do that field, I believe, because we had some left over from doing the big field, the big bean field, and we'll need some, like I said, we'll need some of that round bale net, so we'll spend a couple $1,000s here yet this month, but first, let's get these bales picked up. All right, as you can see, we've got all of our bales picked up and stacked over here mostly nicely. So we'll head over to the big field and get the fertilizer spread out there. We've got just shy of 800 liters. Should be enough. If I remember right, I think it was like right at 500 liters is what this field took last time. So should have plenty of fertilizer to cover this one. And when we return it, we will have to pay our rental cost for this fertilizer cart, and I'm honestly thinking about complaining to them. They didn't even wash it after the last time. But we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up and get to spreading some fertilizer here. Alright, we have our field fertilized. So we've got 330 liters left, so I think that might have been just a shade under 500 liters. Pretty close anyway. So that's done, and I think that's about it for the month of April. So moving forward here, I don't own a sprayer and I don't have the money for a sprayer, so I'm going to go ahead and pay the co-op to spray my bean field for me. It's going to cost about $6 grand, but it's a lot cheaper than buying a sprayer. So that's something we're going to have to deal with. I need to buy some more round bale net, and that's probably going to be about it until July when we're ready to mow and bale our hay again. Hey everyone, welcome into October. We're ready to harvest our soybeans. I think I've got a plan figured out for storing our soybeans until we can sell them at the high so we're not losing money. Also, I took out a whole bunch of trees over by our hay field and extended it a bit, and that's how we made money for this summer, was by selling the wood. So we're at $37,000 right now, sitting pretty good, and I've got some big plans. We're definitely going to be making a hard left turn here and changing a whole bunch of what we're doing and what I originally had planned. But after talking to some of the farmers in town over coffee, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a big risk, but I do believe it's going to be worth it. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing fired up. Get our GPS rolling here. Drop it down. And as always, we'll have straw that we need to bale up here. That way we can maximize our profit off of this field. And I'm excited to see how many soybeans we actually get. Hoping for a very good yield, hoping, for lots of money, because what I plan on doing is going to be extremely expensive starting out. Alright, well, we got our grain truck full, our combine is full, and if you look in front of me, we have a new bin. Well, technically it's a silo, I guess. Could not do what I originally thought. There is a train on this map, however, you can't load it. I was going to use that as free storage, but that didn't work. So we spent 10 grand and put up this silo. At least we can hold on to our soybeans. No big deal. Just kind of a pain in the butt, but what do you do? We've got enough money to get us to December, no problems, so that's good. We will sell our bales, December, January, somewhere in that area, and we should make a pretty good profit. We got a lot of bales, and we still have another cutting to go. So I'm pretty happy about that, and is that the silo I wanted? No. Are we going to need a silo moving forward? Also no. So it's going to be a temporary thing, but we'll get our money back when we tear it down, because that's how a farming simulator works. So for now, it just kind of is what it is, and we're going to go with it. But we'll get this field finished off. I think we're about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway, so we should be somewhere around 50,000 liters of soybeans to sell off next June, July, somewhere in that area. And yeah, that'll be a hefty payday. Probably just in the nick of time, to be honest. I got a feeling next June, July, we're going to be hurting pretty bad for some money. Alright, and with that, our soybean harvest is officially done. Pretty happy with how many soybeans we got. We've got a lot of straw that we got to get baled up here. And we'll go ahead and get this dumped off in our grain truck here. Should all fit. And then we can get this equipment put away and get our baling equipment drug out, because we have grass to mow and turn into hay, and also all of the straw needs to be baled up. So we've got plenty to still get done here this month. And we ended up being just short of 50,000 liters. But that's fine. I'll take it. It's going to be a pretty good payday. Well, since we don't have any more grain to get harvested this year, I'm just going to go ahead and leave these soybeans right here on the truck. So we'll get this thing backed in. And that makes this easy. The beans are sheltered. No big deal at all. So we'll grab the 1066, get it unhooked from the baler, and get it back on the mower, and we can start mowing here. So we'll get it fired up, we'll get it dropped down. Get this small section over here mowed, which is getting smaller because of how many bales we have parked over here. And then this will be done. And then we'll move over to the big hay field and get the big hay field and the other section where we took down all the trees earlier this summer. Get all of that mowed up and get it ready for tedding and baling. And as you can see, I definitely did not do a great job stacking bales. Some of them fell over, but hey, you live and you learn, right? Alright, and this section's done. Didn't take very long. Probably only going to get 2 bales off of it now that we have so much ground taken up by the bales and the new silo that's sitting there. We're going to pull into the yard here. I forgot to put fuel in this thing before we started. There we go. Nice small tank. Doesn't take very long to fill up. And we will go ahead and head over here. Y'all can see what I got done on this side of the river. So if you remember, this whole section here was nothing but trees. Well, those trees are now gone, and it's just straight grass. So it's not a field. I didn't cultivate it or till it up or nothing. So it's just grass. Just like the farmyard, so we'll get this mowed up. And then we can start on the big field here. Definitely helps when you actually turn the mower on, huh? Alright, that's better. So we'll get this knocked out, get the big field knocked out, and then we can get to tedding. Alright, well, it is 1:30 in the afternoon, and as you can see, the grass is mowed, baled, and all picked up, and I didn't record any of it. Yeah, my bad. So we've got surprises, I guess, because we didn't do hay bales. We baled all of our straw up as well, and as you can see on the other side of this road, I went ahead and got that all tilled up and ready to become a field. And we're going to extend this grass field here all the way out to the edge of the driveways, and also till up the entire field all in one. These fields haven't been tilled up in a long time, so they're in desperate need of being tilled anyway. Or I guess disked is what I should be saying here. We're going to disk all of our fields. So we'll get this going here. Get it drop down. And get this field widened a bit. Add a few more acres to it. That way, you know, we can maximize our profit off of the land that we already own. Alright, and we cannot take this road out because we don't own the field behind it. And there's no other field entrance coming in off the highway, so we cannot block our neighbor. They have an easement through our field here. Not a big deal. You know, slightly annoying, but not the end of the world. So we'll keep this as 2 separate fields for now. We'll just run right along the creek here. And we're going to extend this field out quite a bit. Especially up around the pond area here. So while our AI worker is finishing up disking our last field here, figured I'd jump up here and give you guys a good look at how many bales we have. And as you can see, we've got a lot of silage bales. I decided to do this last round of mowing and turn it into silage instead of hay, because silage sells for quite a bit more. So that is going to create a giant payday for us. Yeah, I don't know about giant, but it'll be a bigger payday than what it would have been if it was just hay. And as you can see, we've got a ridiculous amount of hay bales and straw bales for that fact. And you might also notice I'm down to $9,000. And that is because I got tired of renting the fertilizer cart from the co-op. And there just so happened to be one here on the used market. And this one's it's actually slightly bigger. This is an S800 instead of the S600. So we now have our own fertilizer spreader. Spent $10,000 on it being used. Got one heck of a deal if you ask me. So we're down to $9,000. That's fine. It's October. We'll be selling bales in a couple of months. The silage bales don't really fluctuate in price, so we're going to get basically max price any time of the year for them, which is fantastic. So we'll wait for our worker to finish disking that field, and that'll be it for the month of October. So I'll see you guys when it's time to start selling off all of our bales. All right, welcome into December, everyone. It's time to sell all of our bales. And you're probably wondering, how do I have $36,000? Well, we're making some big changes on this farm. And one of them was I tore down the cattle shed over there, cut down all the trees, and sold the wood. So we're sitting pretty good financially. And we're going to be sitting really good here once we get all of these bales sold. There's a lot of bales, and after we get all of those sold this afternoon, we're going to have an auction. We're going a drastically different direction from here on out. After talking to some of the farmers at coffee, they said corn and soybeans are a good way to make a living, but the best and the king moneymaker is cotton. If you can get started, cotton is the way to go. So we're going to risk it all. We're selling off everything except for our big case tractor, the planter, and we're going to keep our grain truck at least until we get the beans sold. So we're going to make hopefully a good profit off of our auction, selling off all of our equipment. But the big money is going to come from the bales and selling the soybeans this summer. So this is going to be a big risk. The machine is not cheap to harvest the cotton. We don't have any way to transport the giant cotton bales. So we've got a lot of money to spend, and I have no idea how we're going to make it, to be honest. This is going to be very, very risky, but if we can pull it off, we're going to make a lot of money. So we better get in gear, get these bales sold. As you can see, it's snowing, so we need to get these bales gone before the bad weather hits here. All right, it is 1:30 in the afternoon. We got all of our bales sold, and the auction starts at 2. So we need to get all of this equipment drug out of the sheds and lined up for everybody to look at and for this auction to get going. And as you can tell, we're at 175,000. We made a killing off those bales, but nowhere near enough to pay for a harvester for cotton. So I don't know what we're going to do there. This could be very sketchy, man, I don't know if we're going to make it or not. We'll have to see how this auction goes. Well, it's almost 4:30. The auction is over, and our farmyard is looking a little thin at the moment. We take a walk around. You can see both of these sheds are empty. This shed is still as normal. It has our truck. We need to get that net wrap sold at some point. We got a little bit of fertilizer back there in the corner. And over here, we have a power washer, planter, and tractor. And our fertilizer cart. And that is it. That's all we have for equipment left. So we've got $328,000 now. Still not enough to buy a harvester. But we have the soybeans that we're going to sell this summer. Now we're going to have quite a few input expenses because we're going to lime everything and fertilize everything. That way we're getting absolute maximum yield for this first season of cotton. Because we need this first one to be really, really good or we're absolutely sunk. And we're moving back to Iowa with our tail tucked between our legs. So let's hope we can make this work. Cotton can be planted as early as February, so we're only a couple of months away from planting. So we need to go ahead and get our lime and fertilizer down. That way the fields are 100% prepped and ready. So with a little bit of daylight we have left today, The co-op closes in a half an hour. I'm going to run into town fast and pick up a bunch of pallets of lime and fertilizer. That way we are ready to go for next month. Welcome into January, everyone. It's definitely snowing. And I'm hoping we got all of the fertilizer, lime, and seed that we need for this year. I'm really hoping so. We're down to $265,000. And part of that purchase was I went ahead and bought the new front loader and bale spike so that we can pick up the cotton bales. Just went ahead and bought it now. I know we don't need it until, late this fall, but figured why not? Ran the tractor into town to do some repairs on it anyway. That cost a little over $1,000, so yeah, we're sitting good. So we're gonna go ahead, get some of these pallets off the trailer, and start covering these fields in lime and fertilizer. All right, we are fully loaded here. We have pulled up into the field. Get our GPS going. All right, we're going to start spreading lime here. So this field will go quick. We'll jump over into what was the bean field last year, and then we'll finish off with what was our grass field. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is actually going to work out or not. I'm really hoping it does. I definitely feel like this is a pretty big risk for us to take here. The investment is huge. We're talking overall, close to $1 million investment by the time you buy. Luckily, I went ahead and bought this tractor and that planter. That saved us a whole lot of money in the long run, because that planter is more than big enough to cover all of the acres we currently have. So that is one huge benefit. However, even a used harvester is going to be, well over $300,000. That's not great. That is definitely not great. But big risks can create big rewards. So hopefully this all works out the way that I think it's going to. All right, pulling into our second field here. We'll go ahead and get this bean field lime. This one will take a little bit longer, as it is significantly bigger than the last field we were just in. All right, well, we're about empty, and we're down here at the field entrance, so we'll run back, load up again, and we're definitely going to be short. We're not going to have enough lime. So that's something I will have to run back to town and pick up. All right, well, we are done spreading lime, and I got just ridiculously lucky. So for grass fields, they apparently don't use lime. So it's already fully limed except for the little bit that I had extended. So that worked out perfect. I didn't have to lime the entire grass field. I only had to lime the part that I extended. And we're not going to be using a whole lot of fertilizer either. If we take a look at our soil composition, this is already at 50%, so it needs one pass. We don't need to go over that. So we have this little field here. We have our big bean field that needs to be fully fertilized. But where our cow pasture was, since it hasn't been planted in ever, it's already 100% fertilized. So we're sitting absolutely fantastic. So we're definitely going to have enough fertilizer for this year and to do a pretty good chunk, if not all of our fields next year. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to hit this little patch over here first with our fertilizer, and then we will go into the bean field and we can hit the bean field. All right, we are done spreading fertilizer. So we should be good to go and ready to plant next month as long as the weather works in our favor. So I'm going to go ahead and get this brought back here into the home place, get the fertilizer cart and tractor put in the shed, and then I'm going to go ahead and get everything, all the rest of our fertilizer and seed put away. Boy, you'd think I've backed up a trailer once or twice, but doesn't look like it. All right, we're going to get this stuff put away. So I will see you guys either in February or March, depending on weather, so that we can get our cotton crop planted for the first time. Welcome into February, everyone. We're now ready to start planting our cotton seeds. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Weather's looking pretty good the rest of the afternoon, so we won't have any issues getting our fields planted. We're going to start in our smallest field first because it does not need any fertilizer. So I didn't put any fertilizer in the planter. That way we're not wasting it on that field for no reason. So once it's planted, we'll load up with fertilizer and hit the rest of our fields. And yeah, I'm very excited to start this new journey into our cotton empire. Not sure if it'll be much of an empire, but we're sure going to give her a try anyway. So we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up, get it drug over to our small field, and get started. Now, as small as this field is, it is not going to take very long. Just a few passes and this thing will be done. Honestly, this planter's probably a little too big for this field, but we're going to have to make it work. So we'll get the planter all folded out. We'll get our steering assist going here. We can get to planting. I'm pretty excited about this, to be honest. I only ever really did cotton once on FS22. Never did it, and I haven't done it once here in FS25. This is going to be my first go around with cotton, so I'm hoping this works out. I'm hoping we can make lots and lots of money and build one really, truly beautiful farmstead here. All right, this field is fully planted. We did not go through much seed. So we're definitely going to have plenty of seed to return back to the co-op, which is fine by me. That means we'll get some money back. But we'll head to the next field here, get folded out, and then I'll bring the pickup over with the liquid fertilizer. That way we can load up and start fertilizing as we're planting for the next 2 fields and that little patch right across the river here. Alright, we'll get this loaded up here, and then we can start planting this field. Thankfully, it loads directly out of the pickup, which is very, very nice. And apparently holds more liquid fertilizer than I thought. That's probably not good. Probably means we're going to have to run back to town and get some more liquid fertilizer. We'll see how this goes, but I'm guessing that we'll probably be spending some more money on some liquid fertilizer yet. Alright, we got it fired up, drop it down. And we'll get to planting this field. This one will take a little bit longer than the last one, but it still shouldn't take too long. This planter covers a lot of acres pretty fast. Alright, we have field number 2 planted, and we did not go through as much liquid fertilizer as I thought we would, so we might be sitting just fine. So we'll head over here, we'll do that small patch first, and then we can head into the old grass field and get that planted, and we'll be done planting our cotton. And I'm very excited and very nervous about this new adventure we're going down. I genuinely don't know anything about cotton, and so this is probably not going to be the most realistic cotton farming you've ever seen, that's for sure, but we're going to make a good go of it. And I know there's definitely the potential to make a, ridiculous amount of money doing this, but I don't know if I know enough to get it done correctly. Alright, fired up, drop down, and we'll get to planting here. Well, this little patch won't take too long either, and then we can move on to the big grass field. Alright, and this little patch is already done. Didn't take very long at all. So I have no idea what we're going to get for yield or amount of bales or, you know, anything here. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. So we're going to get lined up here, and we're going to get started on this last big field. Looks like I should have plenty of seed and also fertilizer here. So we'll get her dropped down. And I'll get this field planted, and I'll see you guys when we get it done here. So it worked in the grass field, but yeah, we're evidently not done fertilizing. That's all right. So we're gonna have to do some more fertilizing yet this year, and when the weeds start growing, we'll have to get those sprayed, but there's no weeds growing in February. So we'll get this tractor and planter cleaned up, put away, and with that, our first cotton planting is finished. So we'll get this thing folded up. And while we're doing that, take a look at our soil composition. You can see we're not sitting great. Interesting. Oh, we put down a bunch of liquid fertilizer, but it didn't work on this field or this small little patch here. That's interesting. And I'll try and figure out why we wasted half of our fertilizer here. Yeah, I don't need that to be happening anymore. But we are officially done planting for this year. So we need to figure out a sprayer, because I really don't want to pay the co-op to spray my fields this year. But we might not have a choice. As you can see, we're down to 255,000. And we need over 400,000 in order to buy our harvester. So we're definitely going to need to figure out, you know, our money situation here and do whatever we can to save money and also increase yield. So I'll catch up to you guys when we're ready to start spraying. Well, it's March, about 10 a.m., and we're down to 106,000. Boom. Bought a John Deere sprayer. And we also bought herbicide, and I unloaded the planter, got all the seed taken back, and got some money back for it. And I kept the liquid fertilizer because we're going to put that into the sprayer this month and spray the fields. And hopefully that small little patch and the big field will now be up to 100% fertilized. We do need to get to spraying our herbicide because we do have weeds growing. So that's what we're going to take care of first. And hopefully everything works out well. I have no idea how we're going to buy a harvester. These soybeans better sell for a just insane amount of money. Otherwise, not sure what we're going to do. But for now, we'll go ahead and jump in the John Deere sprayer here. Bought it used. Got a pretty decent price on it. Fairly happy with it. So we'll pull up to the shed here and start loading up our herbicide, and we'll go over all of our fields with the herbicide first, and then I'll spray the fertilizer after. Now, unfortunately, this sprayer does not have spot and spray on it, so we're going to be using a lot of herbicide here to get this field sprayed, but at least we can spray our own fields. I do think long term this is a good investment. Short term, well, it may have bankrupted us, to be completely honest. We'll just have to see moving forward here. Alright, and this little field is done. Doesn't take much to get these fields sprayed with a sprayer that is this big. So that part is, you know, super handy. Cover a lot of acres very quickly with this machine. Worst part is the folding and unfolding takes a bit. So we'll have to make 2 passes in this field, 1 pass of herbicide and 1 pass of fertilizer. Alright, this field's done. We'll move to the little patch and then into our big field on the other side of the creek here. And we're going to be cutting it close on this herbicide. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough or not. We might run out. It's going to be very, very close. Alright, well, we got a couple passes left in this field, and we're out of herbicide. And by a couple, I think, yeah, we got 2. So we got 2 passes left, and we're out of herbicide, so I'm going to park this up here by the driveway. Shut that off, and I'm going to run back to the pickup, and we're going to run to town and get another tote of herbicide, and I think I might get another tote of fertilizer just to make sure that I absolutely have enough fertilizer on hand. I don't need to run short again and run to town again. So we'll run to town, get that stuff picked up, and get back to spraying. Alright, we're done spraying our herbicide. So we went through a little over 2,400 liters of herbicide to spray all of our fields. So we'll have to remember that for next year to make sure we have enough on hand. And boy, is money disappearing at a very, very quick rate here. Would I have been better off just renting a sprayer? Probably. Do I feel like that was the right move? No. I think this works just fine. And my herbicides changed brands. Isn't that interesting? You buy Helm, you unload it, and all of a sudden it becomes Corteva. Interesting. So we'll load up with our fertilizer here. And go and spray our that little patch and the one big field, and everything will be fully fertilized. Everything will be covered with herbicide, so we shouldn't have any weed problems. And we'll check and see what our yields are looking like. And hopefully we're getting, you know, some pretty big yields here. All right, as you can see, we're getting a 97% yield bonus here. And we're getting 97% yield bonus over here. So that's absolutely fantastic. That means we're going to get big yields out of this side of the river. Now we'll move over to our big field, get it fertilized, and we can check the yield on it and the small field on this side of the creek. So before we do our passive fertilizer here, you can see we're going to get a 75% yield bonus. And this should, I'm hoping, bump up to the 97% that the other 2 fields are on the other side of the creek here. Alright, so this field is now at 97% yield bonus, 100% fertilized. Still showing it's only 8.8 acres, but we know it's bigger than that because I expanded it quite a bit. So we'll head over to our last field, take a gander at it, make sure it's sitting where the other fields are, and this field is also sitting at 97% yield bonus, so that is absolutely fantastic. It'd be nice if the rows actually followed, the direction I planted, but, hey, can't get too picky, I guess. So we'll take the sprayer back into the main yard here, get it cleaned up, get it put away as we're done with it for this year. With us being this low on money, I might try and pick up a spraying contract or two, just in case. But we'll see how this goes here. All right, well, our sprayer's all washed up and put away, so I will see you guys in, I think it's June or July, whichever month we're selling soybeans. All right, it is June, and it is time to get our soybeans sold. So we'll take this load into the Farmville co-op here, get these soybeans sold off, come back, get the other truckload of soybeans, and let's hope to God we have enough money to buy a cotton harvester, because boy, oh boy, do we need it. If we don't end up having enough money, I don't know what I'm going to do, to be completely honest. But we'll get this run into town here and see what we get for our first load of soybeans. All right, we got just shy of $75,000 for our first load of soybeans. That is not going to be enough for us to buy a cotton harvester. So we'll get a little bit more with the next load because it'll be a full load. That one was just a little short, but we're still going to be very short. So hopefully we can find a used one, that maybe has really high hours, that's dirt cheap, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. All right, we're loading up with our soybeans. As soon as we're done loading here, I'm going to go ahead and sell off this silo because we don't need it anymore, and we can get a little bit of money for it, which we definitely need. So we'll go into construction mode, sell that. We got 4,800 bucks. Not much, but it's better than nothing. So we'll run this back to the co-op here, get it sold off, and then we'll also sell. I'll also take this truck to the dealer and get it sold off because we no longer need a grain truck. All right, we got almost $79,000 for that one. So we're at $243,000. That's over $200,000 short of buying a brand new cotton harvester. So yeah, not sure what we're gonna do. Oh, I need to turn around. Oh God, hold on. Well, that wasn't good, considering I'm trying to turn around and head back to the dealership here to get this thing sold off, but luckily it doesn't look like there's any damage, so maybe they won't notice. All right, we're looking at just shy of $11,000 right now. We'll repaint it. That added a lot of money. Repair for $1. That added $2. So $11,373. Sell that off, yes. All right, we're at $254,000. So I'm going to run inside here, talk to the salesman, and see what we can do about finding a harvester. All right, welcome into October, everyone. Our cotton is ready to be harvested, and as you can see, our farmyard has changed a bit here. I took down 2 of the old buildings and put up this nice new shop. So we did end up picking up a cotton harvester. We got the Case IH Module Express 635. And as you can see down in the corner there, we financed it. So I financed it for 2 years. We've already made 4 months of payments. You can see our payments are almost $15,000 a month. We still owe almost $300,000 on the machine. And we haven't used it at all. Now, for some reason, I bought it used. It's supposed to have 41 hours on it, but when I was driving it back, I saw it's showing 0 hours, and I don't know why. But regardless, it's ready to go. So our cotton is ready to go. The machine is ready to go. So we will head over here. We're going to go across the creek here and start out in that small patch. Get this thing, figured out. Not entirely sure how this is going to go. Like I said earlier, cotton's not something I've really ever done, so I don't know what to expect. But we're going to get our steering assist. It's showing 2 headlands. I like that. We'll get the machine unfolded here. Alright, so I went ahead and turned on my help window here, since I'm super unfamiliar with this machine. And it looks like it has an automatic drop to it. I don't see a way to change the bale size, but it does have a bale counter, which is nice. So we'll get this thing fired up. Okay, so it's dropped down. And we'll see how this goes. So I guess, honestly, I don't even know how big of a bale this thing's going to make. I know the cotton bales are pretty big, but I don't know how big they actually are. But we're rocking at what looks like 6 miles an hour. Set my cruise. Jump in cab. So that's an interesting look in here. I actually kind of like this harvester from the in-cab view. So we'll get this little field here knocked out and see what we end up with here. I'll be interested to see when we drop our first bale how big the bale is and how many liters it actually holds. Looks like it's going to be quite a bit. We're already over 1,000 liters and we're only at a 5% bale. Alright, we have this little patch is done. We've got 40% of a bale and it's 8,000 liters. These bales are going to be gigantic. Alright, so we'll get that drop down and we will get started into this big field. I got a feeling this one's going to take a minute. Now this machine's pretty cool. It pretty much turns on a dime. So we don't need to make, 3 or 4 or 5 headland passes. 2 headland passes is more than enough for this machine to get turned around, which is fantastic. Now, the only problem is it's only 6 meters wide and it only runs at 6 miles an hour. So this is going to take a very, very long time for our first harvest. But if we make enough money, if I could get 3, 4 machines all rolling at once, we could cover a lot of ground really fast. But I don't know if this is actually going to pay out the way I'm hoping. I'm kind of winging it here. Not really sure what to think or what to expect. I'm just hoping that this works out and we don't go bankrupt. All right, we're coming up on finishing our first bale. Looks like they're going to be 20,000 liter bales. And we've covered a lot of ground to get this first bale. So I'm not sure where we're actually sitting here. Looks like we better back it up so we don't run over any of the unharvested cotton. But there is our first cotton bale. All right, harvest is officially over. We've got 6 cotton bales and almost 2 tanks of fuel. Oh my goodness, this thing really drinks through the fuel. My goodness. But we're done, so I'm very happy with that. 6 bales is more than I thought after the first little patch that we did. And yeah, that's the second time we've fueled up. For this harvest. So these machines absolutely love their fuel. My goodness. Wasn't expecting that. But we'll get this thing put away in the shop here. And then we can get our tractor out and get our 6 bales picked up and put away. Alright, so this side of the creek gave us 2 cotton bales and the other side gave us 4. Well, I definitely like this bale spear. It's a lot easier to see from in the cab, so I can't complain about that at all. Alright, and that is all 6 of our bales put away here. Alright, so as I get the fertilizer spread here, it took us, about 4 hours to get all of our fields harvested here, so that took a significant amount of time. That's something I want to upgrade for sure. Now, I have no idea what we're actually going to end up with for profit here this fall. It should be pretty good. The only thing is, we have, almost $30,000 a month going out the door in payments between our mortgage and the payment on the cotton machine. So that $80,000 that we currently have is going to disappear very quickly. All right, well, we got all of our fields fertilized, so we're done with all of our fall fertilizer. We're done with harvest. So we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. So if you guys like what you're seeing, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in the next one.